Welcome to the Sandwich Generation podcast, a resource for adults balancing the dual responsibilities of raising children and caring for aging parents. Whether you're helping your parents downsize, explore real estate options, navigating caregiving, or looking for practical advice to help your family thrive, this is the place for you. Join us as we bring you expert insights, heartfelt stories, and actionable items to support you and your family within this unique generation.
Hello. Hey there.
Hi.
So we're changing things up, and I'm excited about it because change is good.
Yeah. Change is good unless you're Maddie McCord and she hates it.
Or Helen Treadwell.
Maybe it's just a teenage girl thing, but yeah,
maybe.
I don't know. Funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, she's definitely not.
So we're adding a new segment to our show, and I'll let you because
I feel like I need a plate.
Oh,
I could be
Sandwich Generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're making a play on words here and you had the great idea of this segment. So I'll let you explain what we're doing.
So we're introducing what's on our plate. And if I had a plate, I would hold it up like Vanna White, but I don't. What's on our plate? Yeah. So just either a hot topic or something that we feel like is worth talking about, basically sharing about. So
yeah, and you actually brought up a really good one for today for our first What's on Our Plate segment.
Well, so I saw an article that talks about how employers are ramping up or introducing benefits for caregiving. So employee benefits for caregiving. So it could be for your children, but it can also be for an elderly parent, a family member that you're caregiving for. So I thought it was kind of interesting because it mentioned that 40% of millennials, it's almost 40, it's like 36 point something. So almost 37% of millennials are caregiving for a parent or a parent-in-law.
40%, almost 40, which is almost half.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I mean, I was just like, really? Like that's millennials are what? 1981 to 1997, 90?
Oh, that's a whole other topic. Yeah, we should.
So I'm like,
I feel like the different generations. So we went from boomers, Gen Xers, millennials. I feel like the years that we're calling each generation has gotten smaller and smaller.
It is because I've never I was born in 81 and I've never really considered myself a millennial.
Yeah. I would say you're an Xer.
Yeah. And that's just, yeah. So, okay. Millennials, those born between 1981 and 1996.
Okay.
Yeah. Are currently providing primary care to an aging parent or loved one in the United States, representing 25% of our total family caregivers in our country.
Wow.
Which I would not have. Yeah, I would not have thought that. Like, I had no idea that it was that.
So does it say, where's the article, by the way, in case people want to look it up?
Oh, yeah.
Because now I'm curious.
It's
now you've got me curious.
AARP report talks about it. The walrus is according to AARP, approximately 24 to 25% of, and that was from 2020. So it could be more.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So does it say that are they moving into, their parents moving into the millennials' home with them, or like how is that working? Or does it mention?
It doesn't really mention that. It just talks about the financial stress on the millennial as well, because a lot of times the parent is not able to work as long as retirement kind of thing. They're having to retire before they thought they would.
The parent.
Yeah. Because they need care.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just says that, I mean, I don't know. I just never thought people originally think of that sandwich generation as people in their 40s or 50s caring for their own
Yeah.
children and elderly parents. The new sandwich generation has is aging, but not conventionally as we used to think. So
Well,
they have,
on our, I'm going to look it up because on our podcast, it actually, if you go to our creators site, like the back
mhm.
podcast, it tells you the demographics.
Yeah,
So
there is a
it
high
says,
number, that 35 to,
yeah, 10.5% basically. Well, actually, no. Well, 10.5% are age 28 to 34. 33% of our audience is age 35 to 44.
interesting.
Second only to 45 to 59.
Mhm.
So that 45 to 59, that would be your Gen Xers. 35 to 44, those would be your millennials, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of tracks.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
struggling out there.
Yeah, which I had no idea until I saw
Yeah.
this article. But the reason that it got me like kind of down that rabbit hole was because I was like, well, why are so many employers feeling like they have to provide these benefits for their employees?
Yeah.
And it's simply the growing demand that, over 53 million Americans provide unpaid care for their relatives. So, I think back to my
They could be
home.
getting paid care though.
Well, there is an option there
Yeah.
if they're on Medicaid, and there's some other insurances that sometimes pay for it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking back to my home care days when I worked in home health care, and I mean, it is a stressful thing. We had a lot of families where they had children at home, but they also had a parent living with them that they're supporting. And if a caregiver doesn't show up, that's a paid caregiver that's supposed to be there that day, if they call in sick and that person can't be left alone, well, then it falls back to that adult child that's trying to,
Yeah.
work. And
Navigate.
yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I can remember that being a stressor for a few families, but also just, if they have a fall in the night and they need to go to the emergency room or things like that, like, that adult child is going to be the one that's going with them and doing that stuff and wanting to be with them. So, I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense that they're providing some different options, but, because it used to just be what FMLA, like if there was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
like a major thing going on and you needed to take
Or you
time,
had a
that was your
baby or
option.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but other than that, there really hasn't been anything that they've been providing. So, I think it's kind of cool that
Yeah.
it.
All right. Well, okay. So, what's on our plate segment? I like it. So, going forward, we'll start the show with what's on our plate. And it could be like hot topics like this in the news. It could be maybe trends that we see from our own experiences with our own clients and past clients, or I guess whatever. Just
Mhm.
what's on our plate, right? What's on our
Whatever.
mind? What's on our
Yeah.
plate? Sweet.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. So, all right, this week or this episode, we're going to be talking about an event that we had called Indy Senior Living Series. We have it regularly, but we recently had our series, and the topic was one that's very popular, usually well attended historically: living, dying, and leaving a legacy. We had our elder law attorney, Jeff Stinson. We had Dave Ring from Indiana Funeral Care. And then we had Cheryl Molnar from Guardian, is that right?
Yeah.
Guardian?
Guardian Angel. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Guardian Angel. I started to go down the like security alarm. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound
Yeah.
right. Yes, which Cheryl was an addition. We typically don't have a hospice care provider on that panel, but it turned out to be a really good choice, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, our attendees had a lot of questions, so I felt like that were targeted more
Yeah.
towards her and the hospice and even the funeral pre-planning. They had a lot of
Yeah.
questions about that, which typically when we have this panel, it's like the majority of the questions I feel like get directed towards Jeff with Stinson Law
Yeah.
or, the elder law attorney. So it was kind of good to
Yeah.
see some questions. So yeah, I just thought maybe we could talk about what we learned, because we've done
Yeah.
this topic how many times? We do it every year.
A
because
lot. This is year 10. And
Yeah.
so we've probably done it. Well, maybe we've done it 10 times. I don't know. And every time,
Probably.
by the way, I learned something new. Don't you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I always take away something new or a reminder that it's like, yeah, I need to make sure we, are really talking about
Yeah.
that, sharing that with our clients, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So it was good. And I feel like we could probably both share some of the things that we learned, but I did make notes during our event, the things that people were talking about or asking.
I'm going to wing it because I was moderating the panel and trying to watch the audience, and you were trying to keep those people quiet in the other meeting that was happening, which I so appreciate because they can't hear. I'm the same way. If there's a whole bunch of background noise, it's like
so
you
distracting.
get sidetracked. Yeah. So
They don't like to be quiet, but well, so we always come up with questions that we ask our panelists just to try to get the conversation going and flowing. But then our attendees tend to ask their own. So
well, I think sometimes that's the magic of some of those follow-up questions, because it always takes somebody to ask the first question, and then after that,
and then it just kind of gets people going and thinking. And so but we kind of started off just asking about, what are the important legal documents someone should have in place, and to make sure their wishes are both honored while they're alive, but also after they pass.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Jeff brought up, he said, before you even worry about documents, the main thing he likes to ask his clients or people he's meeting with is, who's on your team? Like, who do you actually want to have on your team? And then we can figure out the documents from there of what's needed.
Yeah.
So I thought that was important. Like, don't just go down that rabbit hole of like, oh, I have to have this.
I need a will. I need a trust. I need an estate. Yeah. Like,
you may not
need
all of those things.
Yeah. And I wanted to dive deeper into that with him. Like, what do you mean team? Like, who do you suggest should be on our team? We ran out of time. I think we run out of time on that event, on that topic all the time.
Yeah,
so,
we didn't get through a lot of the questions.
Did you take any notes about who should be on the team?
Yeah, like who do you want to handle finances?
Yeah.
And it brings up a good point of, not all of your children are going to be appropriate for each area. And I've heard him say this before. I think he maybe even said on here when he was a guest on the podcast was, if you have a child that has historically not been good with finances, then
they're not going to magically be good at finances.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Then you don't want them on your financial team.
Yeah.
And that is, yes, it makes sense. And he's like, you got to just put aside what, if you're going to hurt someone's feelings or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's not a personal thing. It's just, this is what's going to be best going forward. So I thought that was important. He talked about having backups.
Yeah.
So if, having multiple people that are on the team and in place so that if something happens to your number one person, number two can step in. I thought that was smart. But just knowing who you're giving the authority to.
Yeah. And on that topic, we've had clients, I'm sure you've had clients like this. I'm thinking of one in particular for one of my past clients where They have a great family. I've actually known their family for a really long time, but mom assigned a whole third party that was not related by blood to be the executor of the estate. I thought that was so smart because then nobody's feelings gets hurt. We have a third party, and when you're working through all of that as a family, emotions are high.
Yeah.
And we cannot make rational decisions. I mean, it's proven, it's scientifically proven over and over again. We cannot make rational decisions when our emotions are high. We can't put those aside. We're making decisions emotionally, and they're not always, our emotions are not rational. So I thought that was a really smart thing. Maybe something I might consider.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people are leaning more that way. Especially, I feel like I'm seeing more clients who don't have children. They don't have adult children, or they don't have any children. So they're questioning, like, who do I put in place?
Yeah.
Who would I want? And so, sometimes it is a friend or a niece even versus,
Yeah.
a
I think in
sibling.
this
So,
particular case that I'm thinking of, it might have been the accountant
mhm,
that they put into place. And so, okay, so we go back to like Jeff's statement about who's on your team. So we've got a financial person,
mhm.
or we might have a healthcare person, right? Who might be in charge of making those healthcare decisions when we're unable to make them for ourselves anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, and that got me thinking about, there's always, it seems like most families have somebody that is kind of in the healthcare industry. It could be a nurse, could be a doctor, that kind of thing. And even recently, I've had some clients with, their children are in the healthcare field,
Yeah.
and I kind of play devil's advocate with that. Like, sometimes just because they're in the healthcare field does not necessarily mean
They're
they're,
still too close. They're too
yeah, they
emotionally
almost like
involved.
know too much to be able to think of this as like mom and dad versus a patient. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to be who you think should be in that role. Like, maybe it's just somebody that you've had these conversations with, and they think similarly to you on what you want end of life to be like, the steps you would want to take. And
Yeah.
so maybe you utilize someone like that. So yeah, those were, finances, healthcare, just making sure you're assigning appropriate beneficiaries to accounts and things that you own. Like, those are the
Yeah.
things he talked about before you even really worry about documents and putting those things in place. Like, just making
And
sure those things are assigned.
don't forget about your real estate agent.
Yeah.
I say that obviously because we're real estate brokers and we specialize in helping seniors downsize. But I have had clients say,
Mhm.
so I helped this guy in Carmel, Indiana, and I had known I think you probably will remember this maybe. I had known his mother for years. Like, I had this
Mhm.
piece of paper I'd always take notes on when we had our conversations. And I would always write the date. I mean, I think we went back all the way to like 2016. And I just recently helped them like 2 years ago, I think. So, but when he was going through mom's stuff, he saw something that was tagged and it like had my card. And he's like, this is my real estate agent. This is who I want to use to help clear the estate and all of that stuff. So it is a real
Yeah.
thing. And we have people come up to us, like, especially last week at Indy Senior Living Series, people came up and said, you are on our list. Like, you are who we're using when it's time,
Mhm.
And so just memorializing that by putting it down on paper somewhere, not just a real estate broker, but also those financial representatives who you've assigned and healthcare representatives. Those are probably the main who's on your team kind of thing, but there definitely could be more.
Yeah, it just depends on, what you need as far as different documents, like, and Jeff made a good point. Like, not everyone needs a will. Not everyone's going to need a trust. Like, it just depends on each individual situation. And so that's why it is important to make sure you talk with somebody that actually knows this stuff in and out too. The other thing I think someone asked was about like how often you should update that information. Because the documents themselves change, state regulations change. So he mentioned like at least every 5 years, you should be re-looking at that stuff, which is smart. So let's see.
Yeah, and a really good point that somebody made, I don't know if it was Jeff or Dave, somebody said, well, Jeff used to say update every 3 to 5 years or something like that. And then he's taken it out to 5 years. But he said something like a will that is, I'm just using a will, but like a document that is 25 years old versus a document that's 5 years old. The document that's 5 years old will be a lot easier to work through, like
uphold
in court. To uphold in a court. So I thought that was interesting.
That for sure. Because if you have not looked at that document for 25 years, there could be people that aren't even living anymore.
And that was some of the point that that was a good point that he made. There could be some people who are not living anymore. There could be some people who are like estranged. Maybe there's a divorce. Who wants their ex-spouse? Maybe there's some crazy people out there, but who wants their ex-spouse being like their healthcare representative or they're taking care of, clearing their estate when they pass.
Well, and so that brings up another point. I think one of the attendees asked about putting a child's name on their bank account. So that they can access that information, help. And
he suggested not doing that.
He was like, nope, you should definitely not do that. And the reasons the reasons I was going to say were really good and make sense. But so if you put, if you're the adult child and you go put your name, you go with mom or dad and they put your name on their account. If something happens where you then have creditors that are coming after you, if there's an accident,
maybe you file bankruptcy,
you get a divorce, then all of that, those are considered your assets. And so you are putting your parent at risk for
your parents' assets.
Their assets at risk for those funds, whatever's in that account, to be part of your, what they can go after. And so there's another document that you could do at the bank. I've basically where you're assigning somebody that can look at the information, reference information, but you can't, your name's not on the account. You're like their financial representative or something like that through the bank. So that's a better way to go about that.
And there's financial power of attorneys. There's lots of different power of attorneys. That would be a topic to broach with your elder law attorney when you're getting all of your stuff together.
So just don't add someone like that as a joint owner on those accounts. But what else were there any, we talked about hospice and people had questions about, somebody brought up the fact that hospice isn't just for the patient. that
Yeah.
there was a lot of education they received with their
Yeah.
own
And
parent.
support. Yeah. Education and support before, during, and after
Yeah.
their loved one passed. Yeah. Which I didn't know that actually. I didn't know, like I said, we learn something new every time we do this, but the amount of care after the loved one dies, the amount of care for the family, as Cheryl was talking about, I
Mhm.
didn't know that, hospice could provide that. Hospice companies could provide that or did provide that.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people just don't understand hospice. So I really encourage you to, that's a topic that we will probably
Yeah.
have a guest on to discuss in further detail, someone that's more of an expert than we are. But
There's a lot of misnomers when it comes to hospice.
yeah,
It's not just for the patient. It's not just for when somebody's about to die, you call in hospice when mom has, a week left or whatever. It's more about making the patient, I'll say patient, comfortable and supporting their loved ones.
Yeah.
And so that could happen. She said somebody had been on hospice for 8 years, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's different regulations, like and I don't want to get into like the total
Yeah.
specifics, but generally someone goes on hospice when they've been given a prognosis or of like 12 months or less, a year or less, to live, or they've stopped any sort of life prolonging treatments.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they've made that decision, that kind of thing. So that, I mean, I used to see that a lot where people would call in hospice in the last week to 10 days. And yes, that's great that like they are going to be helpful, but
But
you're
they're not
really
getting the full
missing the
benefit.
benefit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
benefit can start so much earlier. And just having that education piece, the support piece, making sure those last few months of life are quality as best
Yeah.
they can be. They really help with pain management and getting that under control. So
And
yeah,
she
I
did
think,
say they focus on the quality of life for the individual receiving hospice care, and then support and education for the family members or other loved ones before and after.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of cool to hear one of our
Yeah.
attendees talk about, like, I didn't realize, how much support I would receive after their parent had passed away.
Yeah.
So that's always nice to hear because people don't think about that or have all that information always. So
Yeah. And I think that caregivers, gosh, they have such a great heart that they are caring for their loved ones. And yet I think that they sometimes might forget to take care of themselves. And so it's the whole, like, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help the child next to
yeah,
you on the airplane. It's that kind of thing. But I think caregivers are a rare breed, and they just have that heart. And sometimes they forget, I gotta take care of myself too, so
mm,
that I can be my fullest when I am trying to take care of other people. I mean, that could be a whole other topic, sitting
yeah,
on a counselor's couch somewhere. That, but I mean, we could talk about that with mothering our children, all of that. But
yeah,
yeah, but I mean, specifically caregivers of aging adults like that, I think it's a true gift that they have. And
mhm,
also, we gotta support those caregivers and encourage them to take care of themselves too.
yeah,
So I'm
absolutely.
glad to learn that about hospice too, and
Mhm.
that attendee did receive support after the death of their loved one they were caring
Yeah,
for.
yeah. I was trying to see here what, uh, as far as the
Oh,
funeral.
yeah, I thought of one for the
Yeah.
funeral. Dave said something about, you'll remember, he was talking about a family who the person who died, we'll call the client of the, I
Mhm.
don't know, of the funeral home, they had planned their whole funeral, and they were very Catholic, and it was very traditional Catholic celebration, I
Math,
guess.
and they did the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah, lots of traditional Catholic ceremonies in
Mhm.
that regard. And once that person died, family came in. Oh, so she paid. She paid for everything. She planned everything out. She dies. Family comes in, erases the whole plan, and says, "We are taking a cruise. Give us back. We want this. We're taking out everything, and we want like minimal services." I don't know the details, but
Yeah.
the basis of it. We want minimal services from the funeral home, and we're taking the rest of the money, and we're going on a cruise.
Yeah. And the
Real
crowd
story,
went,
true story. Yeah,
"What?"
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I will
Do
say he made a point. This particular Indian Funeral Care did work with that family, and they
Yeah,
were
they
able
did.
to refund money. But he made the point that doesn't have to be done, and a lot of places would not do that, because
No,
when
I
you
think it even says
pre-plan,
in their contracts that they're
yeah,
not obligated to repay that uh the fees back that person paid.
yeah, it goes into an irrevocable trust, so they don't
Yeah.
have to give those funds back. But that was just a little
No,
side note.
and well, no, because that's important. It goes into a trust, and the whole premise, the whole operation side of a funeral home is that trust, the interest on that trust will gain faster than the increasing costs of funerals. In
Mhm.
which case, he said a lot of times it does not, or it's very minimal. And so the operating budget of funeral homes is like slim, and sometimes they're even taking a loss
Yeah. Yeah.
because it hasn't kept up with inflation in recent years. And so we don't have the statistics on that, but that's what he said. And
Yeah.
he's been in the funeral care industry for a lot of years because he took that business over from his own family. So I would say I would consider Dave an expert in that regard.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 So
Well,
so
you made a good point though. So we were, kind of collectively, the attendee and all of us were like, "Oh my gosh, like can't believe
yeah.
someone would do that." But then you were like, "Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So who's the funeral really for?"
Yeah.
And that definitely, I was like, "Oh, yeah."
I know.
Like,
Is the audience going to start throwing tomatoes at me or something? Like I was
no, I mean, I think it made them all think like, "Oh,
yeah.
yeah, why do I care if there's a full
Yeah.
mass and the whole, like, all the little things? I'm
If
not
that's
gonna
not what
be
my
here."
if that's not how my loved ones want to say have closure on my
Right.
life. I
Like,
mean,
is
that's
that
kind of
beneficial for them? I don't know,
some people would say, it's insensitive or a little selfish to
Mhm.
plan it and expect this is how your family's going to say goodbye to you because yeah, that funeral or the celebration of life, which is something that's trending that he talked about, that's not for us. Like we're dead. Why would we care?
Right.
It's for the people that we leave back here.
Mhm. Well, and
So
Cheryl made a good point of, she's lost both of her parents, but she lost her dad at a pretty young age.
yeah,
And and I can relate to this because I've done this with my
yeah,
own mom, where, it was like a 3-day event, basically, the funeral of like constant people standing on your feet all day, people coming in to where,
probably exhausting mentally and physically.
yeah, and at the end of it, you don't even know who you've seen or talked to. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah,
And so her mom, being you know, the spouse that was there with her watching this happen with her children as they
yeah.
buried her husband, their dad, realized that she did not want her children to have to do
Mm-mm.
that when she passed. And so she planned a very simple, you
Yeah.
know, just
I think Cheryl
about,
said she even had to like talk her into adding just
like,
a little
doing
bit of
that. Yeah.
something, like to even have a casket or something like
Yeah.
that.
She
Yeah.
just didn't want to
She was
do
just like,
any part
cremate
of it.
me and spread me wherever or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. She didn't want to make a big to do of it.
Yeah. So I
Which
think,
there are people like that too. So there's people that lean one way, like I'm going to plan my whole thing and it's going to be this 7-day event and blah, blah, blah. And then there's other people who are just like, they just want to quietly, you know,
mhm.
and not make a big to do about it. But
Well, and
somewhere in the middle is
yeah,
probably, yeah,
because one of our attendees brought that up too, that she had
yeah,
recently lost a friend and there was no services, and that she felt like she hasn't had that closure because she didn't
yeah,
really get to say goodbye. And so I think there's got to be like a good happy balance, but it does make you think like,
yeah,
so who is you're pre-planning your funeral, but who are you pre-planning it for?
yeah,
What are you putting in place that, and so, yeah, maybe you just need to have these conversations with your family and say like, you know, what's going to help you guys when I
yeah.
am gone? Because really that's what it's about.
That is a perfect segue into my point that I was going to make is that book,
Mm,
Being
being
Immortal
immortal. Yeah.
by he's the doctor. I didn't say doctor during the event, but Atul Gawande.
Mm-hmm.
um, Being Immortal. It's the whole premise of that book about the importance of having these conversations for everyone involved. It makes the person who is dying, it increases their quality of life and has actually even helped people live longer than their prognosis, than their,
Yeah.
and it also gives their loved ones a look into how they can best honor their loved one once they pass,
Mm-hmm.
and know that they're doing what they would have wanted, because we've already had that conversation. So it's not a popular topic. Nobody's sitting
No.
around the breakfast table talking about, hey, so when you die, how
Yeah.
like, we just don't do that. But maybe we ought to start.
Yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know.
I think if nothing else, it opens up just having the conversation about it. And,
Yeah,
the more we talk and think about things, I feel like the less scary they become
yeah,
because there's a plan
yeah.
and everybody feels better with a plan typically, I mean, sure, a little
Even if we don't follow
spontaneity is
that
fun, but
plan to a T, yeah, at least having that plan, it relieves so much anxiety. And and then you can have flexibility
yeah.
within that plan, because okay, it's not going this way, but all is not lost, because at least these other things are in place or whatever. So yeah.
No. Well,
So
those
just
were
having those conversations.
yeah, so those were some of my key takeaways from our event. And like you said, we've done this how many times? 10 times, if not more.
Yeah,
And we still always take some little new piece of knowledge or nugget away. And that's the point. That's the idea. Just be
I
prepared
know.
and educated, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say, for those of the audience listening or watching us, if we don't record those events anymore, but I think we have like at least 5 or 6 years worth of events that we've recorded, and they're posted on our website at downsizingindy.com. So downsizing Indy, INDY is how we spell Indy. Um, and you just click on the events link. I think there's a drop down menu there, and all of our topics are there.
Yeah,
So
tons of
somebody
info.
asked that in the audience last week. They were like, my wife's here and she hasn't been, and she really, like, where can we watch these topics that you've talked
Mhm.
about? So yeah. So that's where they can go and listen or watch some
Yeah.
of those previous episodes. So, well, this was good. I'm glad we unpacked it, because there was like that, like we've said a million times, that topic is such a popular topic, and we learn something new every time we do it. Our
Mhm.
audience learns something new. So, yeah. If you missed it, or if you have a loved one that could benefit from the topic, leaving a, what was it? Leaving a what was it? Living, dying, and leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
Is I think the title on every time we did it, or it's something to that effect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So for those listening, remember to like, share, follow, comment, all the good stuff. We're trying to grow this grassroots style. We're not paying a bunch of advertising fees or whatever to boost our podcast, but we really have a lot of people who could really benefit from the topics that we talk about. So we hope that you will support us in that way.
Yep. All right. I'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.